What is going on YouTube and chat? We're just gonna kick off with some farming here on my ladder Tainted Warlock. I'm doing a video on some cow runs, so that's why we are doing all of these cow runs. And depending on what the terror zone is, we might hop on and do some terror zones as well. We will see what's going on. Hello, Frog Mike. How are you doing this evening? I hope you are well. What have you found recently? Tell me the interesting, spicy drops. It's Andreas, not Andres. It might be my pronunciation that makes it sound like that, but it is Andreas. If you were wondering, or if you have already, or whatever the case is, I think a Sunder Charm makes quite a nice difference. So I would recommend getting a Sunder if you are thinking of some upgrades for your Tainted Warlock. Nice, those are some solid upgrades you got there. How much, or what is a demon wraith step sort of worth at the moment, out of interest? Because I was also thinking that's kind of a cheap way to get another skill. You must be close to around 10k damage, I'm assuming, or somewhere around there. Nice. Stone skin. Tomorrow, 12k tainted damage, 3.5. That sounds pretty decent. How are you finding immunes and that at the moment? I can imagine on players 1 you must be feeling quite comfortable in most areas. I'm about to find the jar ruin from these cows, so I'm pretty excited for that. I think your tainted are doing about twice the damage that my tainted are doing right now. Unfortunately, I've had 2 sick children this entire week, so I haven't played nearly as much as I would have liked. A very slow start to the season for me here. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm sort of getting a lot of feedback that people say Blood Boil. A lot of people saying Blood Boil feels very like ineffective to them, but I don't fully agree with that. I think it sort of does the trick. It's not like uber powerful by any means, but it does seem quite efficient. Yeah, it's never fun with sick kids, but they are both feeling quite a bit better now, so I'm glad. They should both be going back to school and daycare and all that tomorrow. A little Titans revenge drop here. If only it was actually worth something. 6 life steal, 157 ed. Pretty darn low. I would love to figure out a, like, Abyss Tainted combo hybrid kind of thing, but I just don't think it would really be that effective. And again, would it be better than Blood Boil? Probably not. I don't assume. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, with it being similar to a Novasork. Like, you just gotta keep on spamming that button until the monster is dead, and sometimes it does take a little bit long, you know. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been doing chaos runs or anything like that. I mean, there it does start to feel a little bit four-socketed F Wormhide or Wyrmhide. It does start to feel a little bit slow on like chaos sanctuary toughness monsters in terms of their like fire is and that, but you know, if you really want to run chaos, then use a Abyss Warlock, you know. Not everything is going to be the same sort of clear speed in every area. Yeah, I agree with Deathmark being super useful and keeping you safe and not having to be in melee range. It's very useful. I think like Deathmark is like one of the unsung heroes of the Warlock. It just makes like a summon type bold so fun and so much more engaging and so much more like interesting compared to like a Necro Druid, Amazon, something like that. Yeah, I mean, like you say, you can do a chaos run fine. So I think what a lot of people are maybe also sort of overlooking or missing is, I bet you my game just crashed. Well, not crashed, but disconnected again. Yeah, I imagine if you had a Fire Sunder, you would be able to do all of that pretty effectively and efficiently. But yeah, I think a lot of people forget that you're not going to be blasting through heavy immune areas with like budget gear. Like, once you get to like 6k blood boil damage in the end game, that's when you can farm every area super efficiently. But before then, you are going to have times of struggle. It's just what it is for that sort of level of gear and bold. Yeah, I found just adding the Sunder Charm, I start to do like terrorize zones much more comfortably and just sort of go for it and not really think all that much about it. But yeah, it's really about time I find some items and trade for some better gear. I'm still very budget at the moment. But with that being said, I'm not really struggling to farm, so for the budget, it is working out pretty well. I think Warlock is a lot stronger than a lot of people think it to be. Like, I mean, when you compare like a Novasork and a Hammerden and how powerful they were before the Warlock was around, and now the Warlock has a few builds and variations that can pretty much match their speed and match their like range of where they can farm. That's super impressive what the Warlock is capable of. Hello, Afura. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to tonight's cows. Tomorrow I do want to give a little more thought onto the hybrid tainted build, but I don't know if anything will come out of it, to be honest and fair. But it definitely, I hope I didn't disconnect again. It definitely intrigues me quite a bit. Two-socketed winged helm. NG. Guys, I need my Jarian to drop now. I'm starting to feel a little itchy in that regard. I hate buying stuff, well, not buying, trading for stuff early on in the season. And then like a couple weeks in, you realize just how much you overpaid for everything that you got. But obviously that's part of what it is. How much are demon skillers going for roughly at the moment? Because I have an Istrian, and maybe I could get a couple demon skillers for that. Because I definitely need some more plus skills. I found a Jarian on day 4 or 5 last season, and I just hung onto it in my stash. I should have traded it because that one jar was probably worth 5 jars by the time I actually ended up using it. I'm guessing that 80 forum gold must be like a Mulrin or like a thereabout. I'm guessing, but I honestly don't know. I'm trying the tradery route this season, and it's slow. That's like, it kind of makes me think, just go to JSP. Yeah, I'm feeling like tradery, there's just not so much action going on there. Cool, Mulrin. So maybe I can get 2 demon skillers for my ist. And my connection dropped, lovely. Is anyone else having the same issue as me, that they get disconnected all the time? Because that normally doesn't happen to me. It never happened to me last season or up to this season, and then now in this season I'm getting disconnected like every 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. I'm sure I heard someone else mentioning that they're also getting DC'd a whole bunch. Back to Tristram. I honestly am getting DC'd like, yeah, every 10 minutes or so. It's quite a ball ache. A Monarch. 4 Socketed. That's kind of cool. Wouldn't say no to a 4 Socketed Monarch. What do you mean you can't? Where's leg? No keys. Hello, if you wouldn't mind. Welcome to the chat. Good evening. Hope you are well. That's crazy how much that dropped in one day. Can't believe that. Oh, I can believe that. It's just crazy. Like, I remember towards the end of last season, an SOJ was like 34 on gold or something like that. It's like, depending on when you sell stuff, it could be like, you know, worth like a whole character's worth of gear, or like basically worth nothing. It's so crazy. Definitely a very crazy economy when it comes to items. So I think tomorrow what I want to do in terms of a video is a comparison between a fully geared out Tainted Warlock and that Hex Purge Warlock kind of hybrid, and sort of just gauge what the clear speed is like and if it's actually worth, right at the end game, going for a hybrid or just going full Blood Boil Tainted and see what sort of deals with immunes better and what clears faster. The other thing that I want to see as well is a budget Hex Purge Echoing Strike hybrid with Tainted, like the full GG endgame gear. Yeah, Fevered Mind, like, in my experience and opinion, like, Echoing Strike does get pretty boring pretty quickly. Like, it's a great build, but, like, there's just something that I find a little, like, point and shoot simple about it that's not, like, the most fun at times. And I think the other thing for me that just sort of plays against Echoing Strike is I feel like a lot of the other Warlock builds are so much more fun to play, like, even if they're not as good. So I tend to sort of go in that direction. I mean, also, at the moment, I'm just, like, quite wanting to play Abyss as well. And I think Abyss is just so great all around. Like, I'd actually probably put it as, like, the best all-round Warlock build. What is this rust handle? Been playing, yeah, since the launch. Yeah, I think if you've been playing it for the launch, it's definitely time to mix things up a bit. And yeah, maybe try something else. I think you mentioned that you were playing hardcore, is that right? Yeah, I hear what you are saying, Frog Mike, that, like, once you get really good gear, then you're not really going to feel the difference between the two. It will literally come down to, like, preference and playstyle and what you prefer. Yeah, I mean, they're both great. I kind of like between the two, I am hard pressed to say which one I like more. I feel like just visually, I love Abyss. I think it just looks amazing, and from that perspective, it's just like really engaging. And what you're saying there, level 97 lock on softcore and then playing hardcore now. Yeah, it's so hard to. I feel like a lot of people have been saying that the Tainted Warlock is not feeling great when it comes to immunes, etc., etc. But I don't personally feel like it's such a big deal. But if like immunes is something that really grates you or annoys you to have to deal with, then Abyss just does so fantastically in that regard. And I think that's why, like, overall, just as like something that works at any point in the game, Abyss is just so good and is just so smooth and sort of dependable. And then for hardcore, I think Tainted also has a lot of things go for it, especially like on the playthrough. It feels super tanky. Later on, it also feels great and defensive. Yeah, it would be funny if they're not actually using Blood Boil. I like. So, with what. Yeah, I think if minus res worked with Tainted, it would like skyrocket to like S plus tier. Like crazy good. So, I wonder if they will ever implement that. With what you're saying, when you're saying that you watched some videos and Tainted seemed like pretty good, there was a point I realized in the PTR playing hero edited characters that with hero edited characters, like it's hard to get like a good grasp and gauge on what actually is good and not. And if you play like a maxed out tainted build, it's like everything you telestomp just explodes immediately almost. Like fire means might take a couple casts, but like the general sort of end game feel of Tainted is really strong. So I guess it also depends, like, are you playing it with endgame in mind? Because up until that point, there will be times where, you know, you need to slug to kill a couple enemies a bit more, but once you get good gear, Tainted really feels great. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Lots of Wallstone shards dropping, eh? Um, it's so hard to recommend things just from the perspective that everyone has different sort of opinions and feelings, and some things that you might gel with and feel good with, other people might not. So, like, you are talking to someone who really enjoys Tainted, so maybe my opinion is slightly biased. But yeah, Tainted or Abyss, I mean, fire is also great. Or like you mentioned, you might be interested in doing the whole fire tainted combo as well, and I think that's also a great option. You obviously are a little less defensive if you go into tainted and fire, and not just fire with like some defensive skills. But I mean, both of those are options. Yeah, shards are not going to be worth a thing. I also got a double statue drop from Jerial Terrorized earlier. I had a lot of fun doing the Tombs Terrorized area. It's very cool. Your current gear is Shaker, Hodo, Spirit, Vidango's Viper Magi. I mean, that's some decent gear. My Merc just died. I mean, I think with that gear, you're not gonna be like absolutely one-shotting everything, but you are gonna be very effective and powerful. So yeah, Apocalypse is quite hard too. Like, once I had the mana to just blood boil continuously as well, it's like it picks up your damage quite substantially. Like earlier on, when you don't have like the sustain to just blood boil constantly, it doesn't feel quite as good. But yeah, it's to hard to judge from different perspectives. I think, like, all things considered, with the gear that you mentioned, that gear would transition into like a Abyss Warlock pretty easily. It would do fire pretty well. Yeah, so I'm also using Insight, and now that my Merc can actually stay alive, it's like I can just blood boil all the time, and that really adds a nice chunk of damage going on. I mean, also, if you add in Sigil Death, your damage output also increases quite substantially. And, like, I often don't use it enough in my rotation, but it's another area for more damage to be flexed into the build. So I think fire. So are you talking about your hardcore character or your softcore character? Because I think if you're playing softcore, fire sounds great. It will be fantastic. For hardcore, I think fire is one of the more dangerous builds to play unless you spec into your defensive skills like decently. Because Miasma has its like built-in sort of crowd control and stuff, and yeah, fire, it seems just a bit more offensive in my opinion. Okay, so hardcore. I mean, so on the one hand, if you do the tainted fire build, you've got like some tanks from your tainted, but then you don't have consume unless you do consume one of your tainted. I've never got 99 on any character in 20 odd years of playing this game. I really need to do that one day. maybe this season is the season for me. My game just DC'd again. I guess if you're going for 99, that's possibly why like kill speed and efficiency is also important, because you know that's a lot of farming you're gonna have to do to get there. So oh come on, why you gotta do my merc so dirty like that? Yeah, I can imagine for you watching me must be quite scary. Like I was saying earlier on, there again I disconnected literally again right now. Last season I would never disconnect, and this season I'm disconnecting like all the time. It's crazy. Trying to get into a hardcore player's mindset here and figure out what I would do in terms of a build. The thing is, if I try a different server, so from South Africa, Europe is by far the closest, and anywhere else I play, my ping like doubles, so then it just feels really shitty to play. So that's my issue. But yeah, it's something with this season that's just... I'm thinking that Tainted is probably the most hardcore friendly build the Warlock has right now. Especially Deathmark just allows you to like put them in harm's way before you all the time. And again, if you aren't too fussy about dealing with immunes earlier on, like you just take your time with immunes with Blood Boil from a distance. I mean, the thing I love about Echoing Strike from a sort of survivability perspective is just having a lot of reach. So if you... yeah. If you have... I'm trying to think, like, if you can somehow play a build where you cast, and I mean, I think Blood Boil might work with Hex Siphon. So possibly using Hex Siphon for when you Blood Boil, or Blood Boil continuously, then you should get a lot of life and mana back from your life after each kill. If that is making any sense. Are you on P? I am on PC. Hello, Imperator Baldo. Welcome to the chat. I will deathmark around corners into the air. You can deathmark through walls which they can't reach you. Yeah, it's... Tainted is definitely a good hardcore option. Maybe do a Tainted Abyss hybrid. Imperator Baldo, when you say... Yes, I am on Players 1. I'm playing online ladder at the moment, so this is Players 1. I guess the other thing to consider is that tokens only cost so much. So, you know, it's not like you are absolutely locked in. If you don't like something all that much, you know, spend whatever a token costs and respec, I guess. I mean, myself, I don't like to respec as much as possible, but sometimes you have to. Yeah, I think as a hardcore player, dolls are just like, I could not deal with that. It's scary. I think that Tainted can do pretty well without Infinity as well. I mean, obviously Infinity boosts it a whole ton, but I think it's still good before Infinity. I think it's sort of comparable to any other build, how it feels before and after Infinity. Like, big difference with it, but not like it's unplayable without. Yeah, I think getting to Meph without Enigma, or at least with Warlock, you can still use a shield and like a telestaff. So put on like a what's it even called now? Storm shield and a telestaff, and have good cast rate, and just get your way to Meph and spend some money on the telestaff. I can't believe how good Enigma is. Like, even if it didn't have teleport, it would be so great. That's a tough question, Frog Mike. I don't like such difficult questions. Can we have an easier question, please? Yeah, I think getting to that, like, I think the cap is 50% PDR. But yeah, if you have 50% PDR and max block, like when I was playing a lot of Project Diablo 2, and you wanted to be like tanky and crazy maps, like getting 50% PDR was, and max block is like such a huge upgrade to your survivability. It's insane. I mean, I've never actually heard of anyone doing max block on a Warlock, but I could imagine like having a lot of points in Consume and a lot of points into Blood Oath and 50% PDR. You could be a literal tank. Don McDouglas, welcome to the chat. Good to have you. Anyone know what an 83 Cold Sunder worth in hardcore? Maybe Fevered Mind could help you. I don't play hardcore, so I wouldn't really be able to tell. I mean, I would imagine, like, on softcore, that would probably be worth, like, a Malrune, Estrune, something like that. If that. It's also so hard to gauge at the beginning of the season. Either way, congrats on finding a Sunder Charm. That's awesome. Ah. Wow. Finding a magic Thunder Charm is cool on its own, and then if you find it whilst you're playing a Bone Necro, that is pretty damn awesome. GG. Who needs a 3-socketed crystal sword to make a crescent moon? 70 Thunder, 600 gold. So 600 forum gold now. Well, like you said, it's probably like the price of a SOJ or something like that.
Thanks.
That's quite nice between Vex and Ohm. Oh, but that's also for minus 70. So I paid a Vex soft call for my minus 70 fire. I thought that was a decent price, but I mean, that was a decent price when I did it like 2 days ago. I don't know what the prices are like now, but I paid Vex for minus 70 fire. Thank you for the price checking, Mike. Please be an Eth Cryptic Axe. That would be nice. Nope. Ooh, unique amulet. What is the predictions? Nokazan relic. I hope not. Please be a Mars. I need to find something exciting at some point, because my luck hasn't been all that fantastic recently. Seraph Sim. I'll take a Seraph Sim. Does Storm Shield give you some sort of increased attack rating? Because that would be pretty awesome on an Echoing Strike Warlock. I mean, I know you were saying that you're quite sick of Echoing Strike Warlock, but I mean, it's a good option for hardcore as well. Okay, let's see if Seraph's Hem is Atmos. Yo, Atmos is quite rare. Oh, a little bit. I wonder if it would be Atmos. Well, let's see. I said Nokrazan Relic, and I've already found one. Rising Sun. 2 to fire skills. And my current 1 to Warlock skills. Should I put on the Rising Sun? Probably. Ah, I get you. I get you. Sorry, that was my brain fart then. But yeah, if you do use Storm Shield, you do want to go max block. Yeah, I reckon Rising Sun will be better than my 1-2 Warlock skills. I mean, hey, a little upgrade, can't really complain, can we? Yes, and look at my fire rays with the Sunder Charm I'm using at the moment. My fire rays is pretty much in the toilet. It's minus 16, so... Yeah, fire skills work with Tainted, but percent damage doesn't. Percent elemental damage or pierce doesn't. So yeah, you can use a Mage Fist, you can use a Flickering Flame, stuff like that. I got so excited last night when that other person said that potentially minus fire enemy res and stuff like that works with Tainted now, but then they obviously just meant the fire skills, which was a little disappointing, but an honest mistake nonetheless. Oh, Arcane Sanctuary is the Terror Zone. I think I might do some Arcane. Sick of these cow runs. Oh my gosh, disconnected again. I am pretty certain that it works with Blood Boil. Obsession is just... Yeah, I'm looking for that 32020 SC. 2 to Dex. Yeah, if only. Obsession, I think, is so incredible how diverse it is and like how many things it works with. Like, yeah, I think you could put an obsession on every Warlock build and it will do fantastically. Like, I mean, like, probably not Mirrored Blades and that, but everything else, it is just so good. Get skillers for every different build, and then you've got the bases covered. It's funny, like, sometimes I have these existential crisis about what build I want to play, and other times, you know, you just go with something, but I completely understand the sort of predicament and conundrum that you are having right now. Sometimes it feels like very difficult to see what direction you need to go. The 6-socketed Eth Archon Staff is actually like such an incredibly rare base. It is super difficult. Nice. Did you find that Ith Archon stuff, Frog Mike? Yeah, for hardcore, those resists are incredible. Okay, let's go do a bit of Arcane Sanctuary. That's super lucky to find that Archon stuff. How has your experience been with Herald so far, Frog Mike? Because that's one, like, if I farm in the Arcane Sanctuary and then the Herald is one of those fire immunes that can take pretty damn long to kill if it's like a Herald fire immune. I think I was using a Ith Archon last night on that Hex Purge hybrid build with Tainted. So yeah, earlier I think I went up to the tier 3 heralds, and I mean all of them felt pretty tanky. Wow, so many messages popping off. I just had to take my time to read it there. Welcome to the chat, Fro Herrick. And yeah, the fire physical immune heralds are quite a thing to deal with. That summoner died so quickly. The new warning system is nice, and I think it just looks very cool, so I'm all for it on all of the different fronts. Yeah, I like the new Herald system. It's quite an improvement over the last one. That's good to hear that the Engorge works, because I have been using it a ton, and it definitely does feel like it increases the speed. And yeah, the duration's pretty good as well, which I like. Hello, Andres Sosa, if that is pronounced correct. I don't think so, but welcome to the chat, Andres. Thorns Herald, yeah, that's not ideal. So like right now playing this Terror Zone, I'm just blood boiling all the time, and stuff dies. I mean, it's not like, wow, incredible kill speed, but nothing is an issue here, really. I mean, I do have that Fire Sunder, but Oh, it's non-ladder. I didn't realize Mosaic was still around and it's only not there for seasonal. The only thing I hate about Arcane Sanctuary is those ghosts always dying in mid-air. It really makes me sad. If I'm not mistaken, if the terror zones are keeping the same rotation as it was earlier today, then the next terror zone is going to be the Canyon of the Magi Tombs, so that would be pretty awesome as well. I don't remember taking much damage from the Thorns Heralds with Echoing Strike. I was thinking about it when I was playing earlier today, and the Warlock feels so well-rounded compared to a lot of other classes. And I think it's just obviously making a class 20 odd years after all the other classes. Cold Plains next. Okay, so it's not following the rotation from earlier. I would imagine that. I'm just trying to remember to last season that Thorns Heralds didn't seem to be an issue. I mean, also it was last season, so you were doing like 100k damage, so your leech was honestly insane. So that could also be why Thorns never really mattered, because your leech for 100k damage. I mean, even with Obsession, which wasn't the most damaging weapon, I think my damage was still like close to 80k or 70 something k, so that was an interesting season whilst it lasted. That crazy Echoing Strike shenanigans. Cheers, Frog Mike. Always good to have you in chat. Have a good day or evening. Whatever time it is there, have a good one. Chat to you soon. Yeah, Act 5 Herald mobs was always quite an interesting one. How did my blood boil just change? A herald. There's a lightning storm. Oh, and it has to be the fire immune guys, of course. Oh no. Need to get my merc out of there. So yeah, we have fire immune heralds. The Sunder rolled alright. The only thing is there's not a whole lot of useful things on it to roll, like, except for Blood Boil, like fire damage and all that. I'll show you what it rolled now. So yeah, as you can see, a Fire Immune Herald takes quite a while, and they also drop a whole bunch of garbage, of course. So my Fire Sunder rolled 21% faster hit recovery, 12% fire skill damage, 19 life, started as a minus 70 fire res, and damage reduced by 827 gold fine. So yeah, that's what I rolled it myself. It didn't come pre-rolled, but that is how it ended up. It was alright. Not too bad, not too good. Yeah, like, the roll wasn't fantastic, but the only thing that really mattered to me was sundering the enemies, so I'm happy either way. I'm not happy, I'm just, you know, neutral. That does the job. Are you still playing the full Tainted build, or have you hybridized and changed things up a bit? How has the season been going for you so far? Where is my high run? That's the only question I have. Giant Thresher. Does anyone even use Giant Threshers? Yeah, I feel like softcore. Right now, I'm like not even like conscious. I'm just sort of teleporting right in because it's the simplest thing to do, and then just blood boiling like crazy. So Yeah, that's a soft core for you. But yeah, I really need to find something exciting at some point now. What is this game doing to me? Feeling neutral about my Thunder Charm. I thought that was a low rune, and I almost got very excited and grateful. Yeah, you can't Storm Shield with Obsession. Yeah, I thought about that just now, and then I was too caught up in other things that I forgot to mention it. If you are Storm Shielding, you're going to have to use a one-hander. I don't know if, like, Death, maybe, or it depends on, like, what you sort of doing exactly, like, more physical or more Hex, but yeah. Yeah, I'd be keen to hear how your experience is hybrid. What are you hybridizing into? Are you gonna hybridize into physical echoing strike or magic echoing strike or miasma? What's the plan? I guess if you are gonna be doing Hex Purge, then yeah, staying with Hoto or something like that. It's not a bad call at all. No problem at all. Feeling neutral about the typing as well. Like, who has the time to correct typos when we all know what's being said anyway? That's good when you don't have to deal with problems. I like that. I'm now just a Summon Tainted Warlock. That's the new meta. Storm, Shield, and Tainted. A Thresher, 4 open sockets. Nice. So I sold my Eth Thresher with 4 open sockets for Vex, and then I bought that -70 Fire Thunder for Vex. So I hope you either get some use out of that or some value out of selling for that. The best defense is a good offense. That's a very nice find. It's crazy how, like, just a random base can be a very nice find. I was so excited when I found that 4 open socketed Thresher.
The order welcomes you.
Am I going to do cows or am I going to do 4 minutes of Arcane? Terrorize. Not that direction, thank you. So, Frog Mike, whilst you were away, I can't remember, I don't think you were here, but we got a herald, and then it was one of these goat men who was fire immune, obviously sundered, but had a lot of resistance, and it takes quite a while, but like not phased by that at all, but it just does take quite a bit of time to kill these fire resistant heralds. I'd be interested, I'm still keen to do some testing on how a budget Hex Purge Tainted sort of setup works, like if it still works quite nicely on a budget. So I'd be keen to hear your thoughts on how that goes for you. Yeah, that is true. Fire physical immune without sundered is just a hard skip. I mean, even with the Sunday, they still take a very long time, but that's fine. Yeah, I definitely think that it should work on a budget. I mean, the only reason I'm not saying anything is because I haven't tried it, but I do believe it should work. Key of Hate. Possibly the most exciting thing I've found all night. So it's not been the luckiest of evenings. What's this ring gonna roll? Absolute trash. I wonder, so I traded for that 2 days ago, and people were asking ohms for a 4-socketed ethereal thresher, so I just thought a Vex for fast trade, and I got the Vex. And then I saw a -70 Sunder for Vex, and I thought, look, for what else I could get for Vex, I thought that's probably the most impactful. So I just did it, and it seemed like a good price. So Cold Plains, you were right on the tracker that Cold Plains was next. Hex Purge does require 80 points to max, but it works pretty well not maxed, I think, is the takeaway from that. I mean, in that like hybrid variant I did last night, it did pretty decently with only like 45 skill point investment, so I think at 100 points, I think you're like level 89 or something thereabouts. I just realized that I have not done Radamant, so I can get a free skill. That's pretty cool. I don't know if any of you guys ever watched the X-Files, and when I see your name, Froheric, I think of that person from X-Files who Mulder and Scully used to meet with, and they called him Frohickey. And I always think about that when I see your name pop up. Frohickey. So Tainted needs 40 points to get their damage, and 50 points if you want 3 of them. So 10 points into Demonic Mastery, and then 40 points between Blood Boil and Summon Tainted itself. So I consider it a 50-point investment for Tainted, unless you just want 1. I guess that's getting nitpicky. What's funny is I found a 815 string of ears as well. And it still hasn't traded, which is unfortunate. But I thought I could have got Gull for it, because it was like on day 3 or something like that. And then I didn't get Gull for it, and then I see it's sort of trading at Mull at the moment, so I'm like, okay, hopefully I'll get a Mull for that 815 string of years. You say that that's the best because you haven't seen my Miasma Tainted hybrid yet that I'm cooking up in my brain. The best. No, I'm kidding. I haven't actually cooked it up, but I'm very interested to try it. But again, is it better than Blood Boil? To be determined. I wish that Soul Ruin was a Serve Ruin. I don't know how good it will be in all honesty, but I think it has merit worth a try at least. I think it's interesting how there are hybrid builds for Warlock, but like in weird ways. Superior Colossus Volge is it Eth? Not Eth. 4 sockets though. Upgrade for my Merc. Oh, but he can't use that yet. What's his skill? 192. And that is not going to work then. Frohickey. That name is always stuck around for me. X-Files probably must be one of my favorite shows ever, like any time period. I used to watch it through my eyes as a child. So there was like a group of like sort of conspiracy theorists who Mulder and Scully used to meet up with, and then Frohickey was one of them. adamant. Fire enchanted adamant. Oh my gosh, he almost killed me. That is some hardcore poison you got on there, adamant. Am I going to die? Oh, come on, just let me use my book of skill, please. Still very highly poisoned. I very stupidly, I don't know if any of you were on that live stream, but I don't think you were. And I kept on making an insight in a 4-socketed man catcher. And I kept on making it, and I'm like, why is the rune word not working? Why is it constantly showing a gemmed insight? And then I realized you can't actually make insight in a man catcher. And I just rolled it twice, thinking, why didn't it work? And it was just me being an idiot. So that was a funny little noob mistake I made the other day. I keep it in my stash as a little reminder. That's so funny. I couldn't believe that. I'm so glad it wasn't like infinity in the wrong base or something like that, but yeah, that was made me feel like a silly goose, I'll tell you that. It's funny because when I googled it afterwards and then I saw the amount of pictures about it, I'm like, oh, so I wasn't the only one. But yeah, that was funny. That is mine and my wife's favorite show to rewatch every now and again is X-Files. So nostalgic, so well made. That whole 80s, 90s aesthetic and atmosphere. It's just golden, like you say. It's ideal. And I think that Gillian Anderson is one of the most beautiful women, other than my wife as well. So that also adds to the allure of the show, I guess. Gillian Anderson at any age. Yep, that is very true. Like, one of the reasons I really enjoyed Stranger Things was for that whole, like, period sort of correct atmosphere they captured of that whole, like, 80s vibe and that. And I feel the same about, like, X-Files and similar shows. It's just a cool time period, and also the stuff sort of from that period was a lot more fun. Sometimes my blade warp is just not fast enough to save my mercenary. Yeah, it's also not nice making those ladder rune words on non-ladder. Grand Matron Bow. You looking at me, honey? Oh. What am I doing? Resurrecting good old Murky.
Good evening.
Wonder, should I even keep that Grand Matron Bow? Not really. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so poor. I'll take anything. Okay, let's find a high rune quickly before bed. That would be great. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Cure and why it's ladder only. I don't know what the sort of scheduling or thing is when they do make things non-ladder or ladder or whatever. A gold tracker for the brick. That is actually a fantastic idea. A gold tracker. Yeah, mercs. Yeah. They do their duty, but they also bankrupt you. I feel like there he goes again. Like, I mean, I know he's not like the most geared, but that was a little bit ridiculous. Like, on that topic.
Yes?
Why can't you be more like my Tainted? I was thinking the other day, imagine in Gorge healed your merc as well, how amazing that would be. Cheers, Rug Mike. Have a good one. Yeah, Exhibit A. So yeah, I guess the plan... Yeah, let's go dive into a pack of 20 cows and just poke at them with their little insight pole arm. It's a fantastic idea. I think the plan for the rest of the week in terms of videos coming out is I'm really keen to just look further into like the hybridizing thing, and then yeah, just look at like sort of hybrid variants and maybe a little bit more of optimizations on Tainted and things like that. I'm like very much in the theory crafting mindset at the moment. Yeah, I get, now I get what you're saying. Yeah, well, you just need to do trav runs continuously, which is also one of the easiest places for the merc to die. I'm wondering if at some point I'll run an Act 5 merc with Plague Rune Word for the what's that curse? It's not minus res curse. What is it called? Low resistance. I think, yeah, an Act 5 merc with low res could be quite cool as a poor man's infinity for this, until that happens. Yeah, the decapitator. 4 sockets? Do you use 4 sockets on a decapitator? I don't think so. I can't remember. Yeah, Eth would make a nice echoing strike. Base. Oh my lordy. I thought I could tank that. Clearly not. So here's a fire immune stone skin. And he's taking quite a long time to kill. Take that. Looking at this plan, it was similar gear to what I have now. Hybrid Tainted Miasma Bolt would have 5.6 Tainted, 1.6 damage return, 2.4 Abyss. Yeah, that doesn't sound all that exhilarating. But I guess, like you said, it's with the gear that you have right now. What is this? Scissabazzi's Ghost Liberator. I'm wondering if I should keep that, just because I watched a video of somebody using that on a merc earlier. We'll just slap it in the stash, just for the moment. Sasabi's. So I got a 5-socketed Eth Thresher earlier. I got a 4-socketed Enhanced Defense Dust Shroud, and a Necro Skiller. It's less than half a 10 amps since I made skillers. Okay, it's true. Yeah, I think in general, the best hybrids are ones that use tainted secondary, but I just personally prefer tainted primary. So, you know, that's just my thing. Yeah, obedience in that thresher would kind of be the idea, I reckon. There my merc just absolutely grenaded himself again. I mean, to be honest, he's dying a little more frequently than I'm used to right now, but whatever. So the one thing with, let's say, a miasma and tainted bold or hybrid sort of setup is, I don't know, would you want to use Abyss the most? Would you want to use Chains the most? Or yeah, what would you, what sort of skill would you want to use the most out of it? Yeah, Frohickey, I think what you are mentioning there is exactly what I've also noticed recently, that like there's not a lot of mid-game or early game content. It all just focuses on the end game, and it doesn't really cover, like, let's say you're in the hole and you found a couple items, like what's good, or, you know, you've got a little bit of wealth and want to shop a bit, like, what can you get? And it is, like, very much on my to-do list, is, like, more mid-game, early end-game kind of content, that sort of stuff. It's, like, I'm obviously pretty new to this whole thing, and I'm still trying to find my groove and where I fit in with it all, and sort of what the content I'm going to be making is. And I definitely have identified that same sort of like trend that you're seeing, that there isn't a lot of mid-game content out there. So it is something that I think I would like to focus on to sort of give me a bit of a difference to some of the other content out there, I guess. But then personally, my eyes are always on the endgame as well. You know, Frog Mike, what you said there is some simple truth and wisdom, because I also reckon that probably the easiest thing is just blood boil. I completely agree with you. And everything else for me at the moment is just curiosity. But I know deep down that, like, the sort of simple answer is very likely the correct one, in that Blood Boil is probably just the best synergy, because you also already, just in terms of the playstyle, you're already using your Tainted, death marking them in. Just spamming Blood Boil alongside that just very simply works for it. So yeah, like, I do also think Blood Boil is probably the thing. It's just, I guess a lot of people want to kind of ignore that, or aren't taking it for what it is. So you said the Abyss is 2.4k damage, Blood Boil 9.1 DPS with the same gear. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You are getting a lot of value from Blood Boil there, that trying to hybridize into something else doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense. I guess, like, let's say you are using Abyss, that you are getting some crowd control with that whole, like, effect of Abyss. But whether that's worth, like, investing in hybridizing, I don't think so, or I don't know so yet. Don't tell me I DC'd again. Four-socketed wire fleece. That's very true. Very true that you can aggro mobs and get all the sort of attention off of you using Deathmark. Come here, Wetslag.
Good to see you.
I think my main thing with if you had to use Abyss with Tainted, is that it would look cool. But we don't really play this game to look cool, do we? I was even thinking, imagine using Void and then just using Abyss that you get on Void as like a crowd control tool. But it's like, it's just not worth it, but it kind of feels interesting at least. Yeah, like with what you're saying, the mid-game is so varied and can also be quite a short period of time. Like, if you find some wealth and then you suddenly skip the mid-game and go straight to end-game. So it's like, it's a weird spot, but I still think there is quite a lot of value in the mid-game because, you know, often if you're not getting great drops, you are spending a vast amount of time in the mid game, so, or like early end game, late game, mid game kind of thing. So it's an interesting sort of area, and I think it's an important area. And I mean, at least from feedback in terms of comments and stuff like that, there is a lot of comments where people want more budget oriented setups and focus on that area of the game. I guess in an ideal situation, you'd be able to focus on absolutely every aspect in content, but yeah. I mean, that's also the thing, like, Endgame focuses on, let's say, the real enthusiast of Diablo 2, where, like you mentioned there now, like, the mid-game, early game is where most players spend because there's a lot of casual players of the game. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I would never be able to stop thinking about, like, endgame and theory crafting, like, best in slot and, you know, interesting builds and things like that. But, you know, the, again, majority of sort of player base and that is earlier on. Yeah, seeing like goal or like, you know, what is the goal? What are you shooting for? Is, I think, something that people also like to see. Is definitely a big sort of need or want for that. But yeah, I think also people just want to know, like, how do I make my character a bit better at this point in time? I think the great thing, again, is how it's like not just me making the content, it's like all the discussions like this that end up in the content, you know, because it's not like I know everything by any means. I can't read that because of chat. Read to Summon Tainted. Chaos Sanctuary at bedtime, how dare you? What a pity when Chaos Sanctuary comes off when it's time to go to bed, eh? I got Enigma in the first week of last season, and I wouldn't say that I was like blasting by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, I got lucky with some drops and got Enigma first week of last season, and I definitely don't think I'm getting Enigma first week of this season. Yeah, so Frog Mike, what you're saying there is, yeah, something that I've done a lot. Like when I say this build works good with budget gear, I say that because like I have a good idea or I maybe tried it out and it does, but like I haven't actually like gone into any depth of detail about what the budget gear is and like how like effective it is at that point in the game, or you know, going into any actual depth and detail of it, which I think would be like super good. Yeah, I can imagine on PS5 getting Enigma that early is not even a thing. I mean, I really would hope you get it before 99. So let's wish you luck. For some reason, I can't even imagine playing Diablo on a console. It just seems so very strangely different. Does anyone need a white monarch?
Stay a while. Listen. Welcome back, my.
Anyone need a set of Trang gloves? I can't believe last season I didn't find Trang gloves once, and I found 2 already now. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, when I did a budget version of the Tainted build, that was like me sort of getting a bit more in depth of what like truly like a budget build can do. And I mean, in that video, it was like dual spirit, law, stealth, or authority, basically like exactly the gear I have on right now. That is what I would call budget gear. And like this shows you what a Tainted Warlock can do in budget gear. Like you can pretty much farm where you want at a fair enough pace on players 1. Like I think that's like a fair yardstick. So I'm literally exactly at that budget gear point right now. And I mean, that sort of, other than Ubers and stuff, allows you like full scope of area for farming in the game and sort of freedom to go where you want, do what you want, that sort of thing. Like, yeah, I mean, a shaker, although to like a lot of us is like budget, like easy to get item within like, you know, a short amount of time. Like for a lot of people, shaker could be considered very much endgame. Like, yeah. Trav till your eyes bleed, yeah. So last season, I did Trav runs until I found a high rune and made a video about that. And it took me 1,444 runs to find a high rune, but that high rune was a bear rune. And it was an interesting exercise. But I'm getting quite keen to make some more budget content now. That's pretty cool, doing both of those. Yeah, it is kind of unusually bad to do so many runs before finding a high rune, but I mean, I honestly expected it easily within 500 runs. Yeah, the running from in town for trap runs is really a killer, in my opinion. It takes way too long. It was nice with consume, so that like you had a bit faster run walk, but it's a killer. Monarchs everywhere. So guys, it is 11 o'clock on a school night, so it's very late, and I'm gonna have to call that an evening, call that a night. So it's been some great conversations and theory crafting and ideas, and just in general a very awesome time with you all. So I'll be streaming again tomorrow night, and yeah, I really enjoyed this evening, so thank you very much for tuning in. And hopefully tomorrow we have a bit better luck on finding some cool items, because it has been a bit dry of late, but I'm sure our time to shine will come. So yeah, have a good night, a good day, whatever it is, and yeah, we'll catch you again soon. Cheers guys, bye bye.